What's up, guys? Node Investor here. So Bitcoin finally is bouncing, pulling in a little bit here, but off the lows. Was that it? Was that the bottom? I want to do a quick update to give you guys my thoughts on Bitcoin, where we're going, some of the action we saw today. And I'm going to just focus on Bitcoin today. Certainly many of the alts have had a very nice bounce off of these lows. Some of them very large percent gains. And it's nice to see some green on the board for a change. So let's go to the coin market cap before we look at the charts real quick. Looking at the list here, you can just see green across the board. It did not look like this a few hours ago. Earlier today was just brutal red. I did a live stream yesterday. Many of you were on there with me. And it looked like the lows were in. I wake up today and it was more selling, but pretty much just held through that, rode it back up, so that was good. And you know, just from all accounts, the levels were just very oversold. Glad to see it finally bounce, but here we are. Bitcoin over 11,000 again. You can see Ripple 25% off the lows, was way oversold. Cardano's having a very strong move. Stellar also very strong off the lows. Some of the smaller caps, Tron had a huge move off the lows there, but there's some pretty good setups. I'm watching EOS here, ICX, looking at some of these names, just kind of going down the list though. Big moves off the lows. Siacoin was one of the early movers today, one of the big leaders. And so all around, very nice to see some big moves, some green. Finally, we were waiting for it. And what we're seeing here from a percent basis, that's what you see after one of those big corrections. Yesterday, this was just red, negative 25, negative 40, negative 30, and now we're seeing huge numbers to the upside. So that's good to finally see some bouncing here. Market cap at 551. And so let's get to it real quick. Before we get to it, if you're new here, if you're new to the channel, if you're not aware, nodeinvestor.com, I do offer some tutorials, some video training on how to get started with technical analysis. If you're not sure how to read the charts, or if you're relatively new, this is going to kind of give you all of that information specific to crypto, the moving averages that I use, support, resistance, technical patterns such as double tops, inverted head and shoulders, all that fun stuff. So check it out. It's on nodeinvestor.com/training. So let's get to the charts here. So let me just zoom in here. Let me show the volume action at the bottom here, because I always like to show the volume. This is the 1 hour chart of Bitcoin on Bitstamp here. So just looking at that volume there at the lows, you can see that big reversal. We had the huge red volume that just kind of undercut the most recent lows from yesterday. I thought this was the bottom here. We were looking at this big wick here that we saw basically around that 10K on Bitstamp. We rallied, but remember what I mentioned, we just couldn't get above that 10 EMA, and that was really going to be the first test. And sure enough, we started to really break down from that, bounce, and then we saw the big volume shake followed by a pretty big volume green candle, and that started to reverse the trend here. So from the lows, you had a very nice bounce on a percentage basis from peak to peak there. That was 27, 28% or so. Very strong move in a number of few hours there. That's basically only what, 1, 2, 3, 4 hour bars there. So you can see the big red bar at the bottom here and 3, 4 hour bars. Now we're pulling in. The 4 hour chart did bounce right into that moving average, kind of went above it a little bit, and it's pulling in. The thing is, when you see a move that big off the lows, a pullback is going to be normal. So that's not really surprising to me at this point. So far, it's kind of a constructive, orderly pullback. We'll see how deep it goes. My guess is it's going to maybe at most test this most recent resistance in the mid 10K level here. So that'd be an area to watch, potential secondary entry point if you weren't already in, or if you were looking to enter on those dips. That's how I approach those. So that's what I'm looking at here so far. Is that the bottom? Is that the absolute low? Time will tell, but certainly a low for now. Again, the test is going to be how far we dip. That's really the level I'm looking at for it to hold. But for now, I'm going to be holding. I'm looking at some alts. I've already started making some entries here today, looking at some of those positions. And from a longer term perspective, some of those were just very beat up and down well off their highs. And so was looking to pick some of those up there. But for now, Bitcoin had a very nice bounce today, some good volume. Let's take a look at the daily chart real quick before we go. I've been talking about the RSI, wanting to see it bottom here in the low 30s. You know, we dipped at one point, it was down to 32 or 31, so it was pretty much there. settled out around 935 with that bounce on the daily chart. So from a daily perspective, though, we've not confirmed, and we're certainly a long ways from doing that. So you got to use the shorter term time frames for now. We're a long ways out there, but what I do want to show you is, look at this. Let me change the color here. It might be easier to see for you guys. So I'm putting the 100-day moving average on here, and this has historically been a pretty strong place where Bitcoin starts to find a bottom. So you can see during the last several big corrections, the one in March, the one in June, July, the one in September, that's really where it started to find some support. Now this was huge volume there. We saw some big volume, and certainly there's big volume here. So this area right around that 100-day moving average is one to keep watching right here. I'm thinking we're going to hold it. So we've undercut it here twice, bouncing up above it, and that's what we're going to want to see hold. But we still got to get back above that 10 EMA on the daily. We're a long ways from that still, so you got to look at the shorter term time frames. You know, that's still another 15% or so from here, and it's still coming in. But if we can start to go sideways and bounce some more here, it'll certainly look much better. On that 4 hour, again, that 10 EMA was a little bit of a wall, bouncing into that, but on the 1 hour, in the very short term time frame, it's looking much better. So at least for now, the momentum has shifted, right? It's not the straight down that it's been for the last couple of days, the relentless selling. We found a low point. We saw some big volume come in at the lows, and now it's kind of the back and fill and testing mode to see if this is the low that holds, and that's just normal action. You're going to see some back and filling, and then hopefully some higher highs and higher lows at that point. And so I'll keep you guys posted. Just want to give you that quick update on Bitcoin. For now, it's looking pretty good. It's looking like we've put in a pretty good low, and we'll see how it looks tomorrow. I'll give you guys another update tomorrow. Until next time, take care.